Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Litrpg Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to Litrpg. This week on the podcast, we're going to be talking about some great Litrpg news. But first, I'll introduce myself. In case you've never seen the podcast, I am Ramon Mejia, and I'm the guy bringing you the latest Litrpg news, reviews, and of course, author interviews. And this week, we're going to talk about some pre-orders, some new Litrpg stories that have recently shown up on Amazon, and we're going to give you links for those in case you want to order them. But we're also going to be giving you some new releases and some nice reviews. Some of the books that we're going to talk about this week are, of course, Delvers LLC, Welcome to Ludus, A Shield for Diana, The Way of the Clan 4, and Steel Wolves of Craedia, Realm of Arkon, Book 3. We'll of course begin with our Litrpg news. Now, our first news story is going to be a correction I need to make. Now, last week I said that Jaden Hunter, an admin on the Litrpg Facebook group, has been communicating with an effort to get our genre, Litrpg, listed in its own category on Amazon. Now, I was quite mistaken. It's actually Jay Taylor who's been leading the extra effort, spearheading that conversation with Amazon. So I'm very sorry, Jay, for getting the wrong name in there. So I apologize, buddy. Our next story, of course, though, is going to be some of we have a couple pre-orders that have come out on Amazon. We're just like you know about them. In case you're a fan of their series, you can go pre-order them before they come out. We have our first book, A New Contact, which is the third book in the Perimeter Defense series by Michael Atamanoff. It comes out September 29th, which is only about a week away. I'm actually a huge fan of the series, and I'm actually going to be talking to Michael Antonoff next week about his Perimeter Defense series. So if you have any questions you want to ask him, please drop me a line either on our Facebook group, Litrpg, or you can send me an email at litrpgpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to ask him the question on the podcast. Also, they'll be aware, though, that he only speaks Russian, and we'll be using a translator to do the actual interview. So if that bothers you, you might want to skip next week's episode. Now, another book that is going to be up for pre-order is Other Life Awakenings, Book 3, in the Selfless Hero trilogy. And again, being book 3, it's probably going to be the last one, otherwise it's not a trilogy. This is written by William Arend. He's a wonderful author. I've enjoyed his books immensely. He's done some really interesting with his characters. In the very first book of the series, if you're not familiar with it, it's set in the far-flung future. There's a spacecraft full of stranded soldiers, but the way they get through their long space journeys is by transporting their minds into a virtual online world. Only something has gone wrong. Everybody seems to be stuck except for one admin who seems to have a few clues as to what's been happening in the world. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's a good RPG series that I've enjoyed quite a bit. And the third and possibly final book in the series is available again October the 3rd. Go read it. Another book that is actually going to be an entirely new series. It's called Dungeon Crawl. This is Dungeon Crawl, a Litrpg adventure, The Crucible Shard, Book 1. Again, these Litrpg titles are getting pretty long. This one is available November the 17th. So again, this is another November release. We have absolutely no more information about it, besides, I'm sure, a wonderful Amazon description. But again, I can't give you any hints because I haven't read it yet. But it's something new, and it's available for pre-order. So if you need a Litrpg fix in November and you want to do it now, go pre-order it. And again, the last book that's up for pre-order that we were able to find, besides the one we've already talked about previous in other podcasts, is Homeland Endgame 2. November 19th is when that one is out. A lot of November pre-orders available now. It's written by Kiran Uchi. We have reviews of his stories in our Litrpg recommendation page, if you want to go check that out as well. Now and again is available November the 19th. Now on to our new releases and reviews section. Okay, the first book that we're going to be reviewing has come out recently. It's called Delvers LLC, Welcome to Ludus, written by Blaise Corvin. Now, just a quick qualifier, Blaze Corvin happens to be a great guy. We're part of the same kind of Litrpg Facebook group, so just full disclosure there. I'm already proud of the guy for finishing his novel and putting it up on Amazon. I read it originally when it was an online-only story, and I've been a fan of it ever since, even though I had to stop reading the online version once I learned that it was going to be an Amazon book. So, but I'm really happy for you, Blaze, that you were able to finish this novel and put it up on Amazon, and wish you the best luck. I know I'm a huge fan. I purchased it. It is not available on Kindle Unlimited, unfortunately, at this point of recording this podcast, though the author has said on Facebook that he is considering putting it up for Kindle Unlimited, so it has a much broader range. Now, the premise of the story is that we have two guys, Henry and Jason, who are they have a familiarity with European martial arts, historical version, HEMA, on our planet Earth, and they're grabbed by this crazy powerful god and dropped into the world of Ludus, where they have to make their way and survive in a kind of gamified world where they fantasy, sorcery, magic, all those great things, goblins, monsters, and they do a really good job. Now, there's some great parts of the story that I personally love. I love the friendship between the two main characters. There's a great sense of adventure and action, and there are some very amazing moments within the story. Sometimes it lags a little bit, but overall, I'm really proud of seeing Blaze finish this story, and you can tell that he's taken the time to carefully edit. He hired a professional editor. He's kind of polished this story up quite a bit, and you can tell in if you read the difference between the original online story and this finished Amazon version, there's a very huge uptake in quality. So, and it shows within the quality of the work. So good for you, Blaze. I hope you do well with this. And again, I can't recommend this one enough. For me personally, I loved the adventure between these two kind of bro friends. It was pretty good. The next story that I'm going to be talking about, though, is A Shield for Diana. Now, Shield for Diana is written by Jason Sarnio. The synopsis from the author is: Jack and Diana are an average couple. That all changes when they get invited to test a new virtual reality game, two different playing styles. Follow along as their journey begins. Will they work together or tear each other apart? Welcome to United Online. Now, again, that's verbatim what the author's synopsis is, and that kind of gives you clues to some of the issues I may have in the story. My opinion for the story is that I love the premise. Really, I do. Introducing a married couple into a virtual reality world where there are some really big highs and lows. When you have this kind of full immersion adventure, has some amazing story opportunities. You can talk about the relationships with each other, their internal relationships, how they view each other, if they have problems, how they can work that out within this adventure, some virtual reality world. It's kind of one of the things I love about the Continue Online series, that it doesn't just do action, but there's also some interesting psychological relationship stuff there. And I was hoping to see that same kind of stuff here in A Shield for Diana. There's a little bit of that. It is a short first entry into the series. The author has admitted that publicly that he accepts most of the criticism for people who've done reviews on the story, and he's going to do a better job. But it is his first time writing. It is his first time publishing to Amazon, and it definitely shows. I wanted to love this story so much based upon those qualities and based upon the premise that kind of shows through in the synopsis. And I couldn't. There are just a huge number of spelling errors, grammar errors. Almost on every single page of the story, there are missing punctuations, misspelled words, missing quotation marks, paragraph structure issues. And it just detracted so much from the story that it almost ruined it for me. And I have a pretty high tolerance for that kind of stuff personally. I like to think that I do, that I can look past that and see the gem of a story. And in this case, it was really difficult to do. I can see a lot of great potential in this story, and especially as an ongoing series. like I said, there's an amazing amount of story potential here that I love and appreciate. It's just that it was really hard in this first edition to get past those structural and grammar issues. So I can't wholeheartedly recommend this story for you guys who are looking for new things to read, but I would love to review and read a more polished version of the story if the author is willing to put it out there. I purchased it, so I put my 2 cents in there to get the review. So, but otherwise, if you're looking for just something and you can look past all those things, A Shielded Anna might be the story for you. The next book that I'm going to be reviewing is The Way of the Clan 4. It's from the World of Aldera series. This is a Russian lit RPG story. If you are not familiar with the series at all, a quick synopsis of the very first book is that our main character is taking part in an online contest for a new to him, I should say, MMO, where he has to stay in game for a set period of time. And if he leaves or he dies, then he loses the contest. He loses his sponsor, and things go really bad for him. So that is a very interesting way to start a series. And I loved the very first book. This, again, is the third book in the series, and fourth book. And progressively, as each story has been written and translated, I've had more and more issues with them. By this fourth book, the translation errors and the translation into English has been so poor that it's hard for me to continue reading it and love the series. It's kind of the same issues as the last book. Only in this case, it's a translation problem and not just an author's first attempt at writing a larger novel like this. The reviews on Amazon are kind of mirroring what I'm saying, and that people who love the series can look past that, and they can move past it, and they can enjoy the story. It's very interesting. I'm not saying it's not, but for me personally, every single book has gotten worse and worse in the translating. And so if you can get past all that stuff, then you're going to find a really good story that you can enjoy. But if you can't, you're going to want to skip this. Our next and last book is actually going to be Steel Wolves of Craedia, Realm of Arkon, Book 3. Now, this is, again, another Russian lit RPG story that has been translated into English, but this is a wonderful example of how it should be done. This is really well translated, I have to say. I've only read good reviews about the novel on Amazon, even though it's only been a few days. There are only 4 and 5-star reviews of the book so far. I haven't finished the story, so I can't give you a full review on this particular novel. A book, I should say, in the series. But the very first book in the Realm of Arkon series sets it up this way. We have a massively popular virtual reality MMO, and a full immersion rig system, only there is some funny things going on in the background from the game designers and publishers. Our main character is actually forced into the game permanently. His jerk of a boss is trapped him in there, and he set his pain threshold on maximum, and he's trapped in this unreleased portion of the game world where he has no support. There is no beginner town. It's like an expansion pack that hasn't been released fully to the public yet, and our main character has to make his road as a low-level character in a high-level zone. And so if you've ever played an MMO, it's not good. And that kind of story is how the series is set up. And of course, our main character does a great job of adapting and overcoming those odds and having some really interesting and great adventures. I'm a big fan of this particular series, and I'm happy to see that this particular book, the third book in the series, continues on at that high quality, great story that was set up in the first book. So this is, to me, again, a great example of how a translation from Russian should be done, and I can't encourage you enough to go check it out. But that's going to be it for the show, folks. Just those few reviews, that little bit of review of news. The lit RPG world at this point is kind of small, so there's not a huge amount of stuff from last week, the last time that we did this. But again, next week, we're going to be doing an interview with the author of the Perimeter Defense series with the translator, and so you have something new to look forward to and a new interview to listen to. But for this week on the Litrpg Podcast, that's kind of it. And again, this podcast really only exists because of you guys who watch and listen. So thank you for your support. And I kind of only made it for the guys on Facebook who are part of the Facebook Litrpg group. I hope you guys all enjoy it. I really make this for you guys, because I know you guys like this kind of stuff, and I do too, of course. And if you want to support me and the podcast, you can find out all the ways to do so at Litrpg Podcast /support. And I thank you for your time and listening and reading. But for now, folks, that's it. And we're going to end the podcast with our new catchphrase. We'll see how it works. And it's going to be, thanks for listening, folks. Now go read some more Litrpg.